Anybody ever see Inside the Actors Studio? This is what this reminds me of, but you're not allowed to ask me for my favorite curse word.
Right. I have watched that.
Okay.
I saw the Billy Joel one. They had a piano on stage, and they said, "How did you make all your money?" He said, "Just playing major seventh chords." I played all these chords. So. But having been born and raised in Ohio, you moved to Neenah with your family at the start of your sophomore year in high school. What was that like? Scary, exciting, probably both?
All of the above, absolutely. My dad was in YMCA work, and he would kind of look for YMCAs that needed to be kind of brought back up. If they had been down for a while, and he kind of accepted that challenge, and we moved, I think, 7 times when I was growing up. But the longest we stayed was in Worcester, Ohio, which is about an hour south of Cleveland, so you have a point of reference. And you heard about the job in Neenah. At that time it was a YWCA, and one of the things he did in his years here was to kind of lead the charge to get it converted to the Neenah Menasha Y, that incorporated YMCA and YW. So anyway, he announced that we're moving. My brothers had both graduated from Worcester High School. I had worked my way up from 4th grade, and I thought, okay, now's my time. You know, I'm gonna make my bones here at Worcester High School. And whoop, sorry, we're moving. Neenah, Wisconsin. What do they do there? Well, they make toilet paper and they make sewer covers. Okay, great. So we moved, and thank God for sports. Of course, I didn't know a soul. My first exposure was to basketball. I thought, oh my God, I'm in trouble, because I can't dribble a basketball. So I stuck with what I knew, and I had a pretty good background in football. And back then, the head coach was Jake Stays, and Dick Johnson was an assistant. And I knew that I had made it a little bit when I overheard some of the coaches talking in the locker room. What about that new kid from Ohio? Yeah, he's pretty tough. And I thought, oh, because I didn't know if I was going to make it or not. But fortunately, football went very well my sophomore year, and that helped me fit into some social groups, and then I just kind of saw all the opportunity that was in this amazing school district. Excellence across the board in so many different things. And I thought, I'm going to make time to do that. And I got involved with lots of different things. So yes, it was scary, but it gave me an opportunity to become a new person and stake my own ground in a new place, away from my brother's accomplishments, and that was pretty special. A lot of times the things you wish for don't always come true, and then you look back and say, man, I'm glad that didn't work out, because this was great.
Your professional life as a science teacher, coach, drama director has exemplified a personal philosophy that you shared with me regarding the importance of being a well-rounded individual. And Neenah High School was the place where that philosophy was formed. Can you talk a little bit about the diverse experiences you had at NHS, as well as teachers, coaches, advisors maybe that you had?
Sure. You heard about some of the activities I was involved in. I was also in student government and the N Club for letter winners, and we had an interesting student government situation that was a combination of the faculty and students, and Pat's down here shaking her head. That was very unique, and it gave kids the idea that they were invested in this school and that our voice made a difference. So that was really terrific. And I was in science club and as many things as I could get into.
And you recommend that for kids today?
I do. In fact, I taught for 42 years. And my main message to kids was kind of relates to something Marty said. When you're a student, you go to school, you work hard, you want to get good grades, you want to make people proud of you, but you just don't really get it. And as soon as you become a teacher and you're sitting on the other side of the desk, you ask yourself, what really is my job here? Well, what I realized was that my job was to encourage kids to become the best they could be at whatever. Don't limit yourself to one activity or another. Don't see yourself as one thing or another. Explore. This is the time in your life in high school when you need to find out about yourself, what you're made of, what you're passionate about. So try different things. Some things you'll go, oh, I guess that's not going to work out. But don't sell yourself short on anything. And I would tell them an analogy that I'm sure I picked up from somebody else, because teachers do that, we drop things. You're in school right now to fill your toolbox. Your toolbox are all of the things that you're going to need to face the world once you cross the graduation stage and you're on your own. And that's exactly what it's about. You don't know if you're going to need that tool in the future. That's not important. Get the best tool you can get, and as many different tools as you can get. That's what you're here for. That and to discover what you're passionate about. And then go on and do whatever it takes to pursue those things. You know, the saying, you have a job that you never have to go to work a day in your life because you enjoy what you're doing. That's really the job of the teacher. And to see the whole spectrum is to be a teacher, a coach, a director, or whatever that sees the development of the total student. You know, you're not here for me and my program. We're here for you. And you need to grow and explore, and I'm here to support you any way that I can. So that started in Neenah High School. And this Neenah with Pride thing, guys, that's for real. Here I am almost 50 years later. That's the message that I brought out of my school to carry on to my students. And Neenah High School was brand new. I was a junior. It was built in 1972. Just juniors and seniors attended that school. And granted, it was the 70s. We were all a little cuckoo in the 70s. But we had open classrooms, open lunch. I know for a fact, and some of my teachers and coaches are here, they became infused and uplifted by the fact that we've got this brand new building, a whole new start, and this attitude of just growth and exploration and support. And what do you know? You guys are going to have that same opportunity here real soon. And I encourage you to make the most of it that you possibly can. If you're familiar with the movie Saving Private Ryan, the last words of Tom Hanks' character to Private Ryan was, anybody remember? Earn this. Your community has provided for you an incredible facility that's going to give you the opportunity to learn and grow and explore in a whole new setting. The sky's the limit. Just go for it. And thank people that had anything to do with getting a new school for you. It made a huge difference in my high school experience. So you're very lucky.
You already referenced your father's work with the Y, but he was also on the school board.
He was. That was pretty cool. My dad handed me my diploma, which was very special. And he had sciatica so badly, he had surgery shortly thereafter, but he wasn't going to miss that. So yes, I received my diploma from my dad. My dad very much wanted to be here. He passed in the end of May. 89 years old, lived a wonderful life. What a character the guy was. My wife's smiling. And I want to share a little something with you. Actually goes back to my football days, and I wish Coach Parker were here, but Coach Lull probably remembers. When times were tough and we needed, I'm going to sound like Newt Rockney, when we needed a yard or two for a first down, we always called the same play. Unfortunately, our opponents always knew this, so it made it tougher, but 32 wedge. I think it came out of the Packer playbook. Well, the 3 hole was my hole. I was the apex of the wedge. So I always felt honored that the coaches felt like, put that on my shoulders, we're going to get a first down. So when my dad was in his last day, as it turned out, I was called over to get him up out of his wheelchair and put him in bed. And it wasn't an easy task, but I gave him a great big bear hug, and I picked him up, and I laid him down in bed, and he looked at me and he said, 32 wedge. Because I was the guy that showed up to help him. So that meant an awful lot.
Thanks for sharing.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
He also, I said to him, Dad, I really wish you could be with me and Neenah. He said, I'll be there. I said, I know you will.
Many successes you had in the classroom as a teacher. It's obvious to us to see why that was so. Also on the playing field and on the stage.
Okay, how does a guy that coaches wrestling for 13 years end up on a drama stage? I had 2 daughters at the time, and unfortunately we went through a divorce, and I'm looking for any ways that I could spend more time with my girls. And it was pretty obvious that neither one was going to be a wrestler. So we opened a new high school in 1994 in Worcester, and I heard about this beautiful performing arts center. And it was beautiful. And I walked into it and I said, looks a lot like Armstrong to me. We already had this 20 years ago. But 1,000-seat auditorium is great. And there was an opening of the drama club, and I had never directed a play. I'd been in a few things, and I thought, what the heck? Let's go for it. And fortunately, I don't think anything's ever come more easy to me, but it was because of all the background I had in sports and teaching, to be able to be organized, to motivate kids, to lay down rules and have them understand them. It's all the same stuff, no matter what the vehicle is you're using. So I made the switch to doing theater. The first play I chose was Our Town, because Our Town was the one and only play I was in at Armstrong. That's what I knew. Jim Miller was our director, and what a guy he was. Talk about somebody that made an impact. But I had a terrific time directing Our Town. And the message that came out of that also helped make me who I am. You know, live every day, don't take things for granted, appreciate what you have while you have it. All that is the main theme in that play. Thornton Wilder wrote it. And a million schools have done it since. But it's a very special play and a very special message. When I directed Our Town, the first play, I put a little dedication in the program to Jim Miller. Nobody knew who he was, but I did. And the last play I directed before I retired was Our Town. So, kind of came full circle with that one. But theater's wonderful because it allows kids to fit in that can't fit in anywhere else. And for people that really deny the importance of the arts, they do not get it. They don't see the big picture. There are kids, especially during their high school years, that aren't going to fit in with a lot of the other things, and we became what we affectionately referred to as the island of misfit toys. Because a lot of kids showed up in the drama theater who didn't know who they were, had no friends, and we were able to help them feel security and success. So anyway, teaching's teaching, education's education, no matter whether you're on a stage or a wrestling mat or whatever.
And you just didn't spew those words about the arts being valuable. You even started a Fine Arts Hall of Fame at your school.
Right. Sports Hall of Fames are awesome. I always wanted to be in one. But, and I saw the attention that all of the athletes were getting, well earned. But here are these kids in the fine and performing arts, and nobody's honoring them. And we had kids that come out of our high school that went on national television, national radio, Broadway, on and on and on. And where's their recognition? So I got a committee together and we founded the Worcester High School Fine Arts Hall of Fame. And we've had 7 inductions. And it's a very rewarding thing to have those people come back, just like this. The incredible impact it makes on them. And the theme we came up with is, I'm sure, what you guys do too. Honoring the achievers, inspiring the dreamers. Well, you guys are the dreamers, and the rest of you are achievers. So, yeah, we just did the same thing in fine arts, performing arts that Sports Hall of Fames do, but yeah, I felt it was necessary.
You've had an amazing career, and we're so proud that you're from Neenah. Anyone else that you would like to thank before we wrap it up?
Funny you should ask. Well, first of all, that orchestra was tremendous. Congratulations on them. Just fine musicians at a young age. To this committee and this school district, 2 words: first class. Everything I experienced from when I was chosen and informed on the phone after I picked my job off the floor was first class. The communications from all these people have been excellent. I showed up to town, that parade was incredible, just treated like a king. The football game, all of it, just tremendously rewarding. So thank you to all of you. My wife, Renee, is the best supporter of all of the crazy stuff I've done, including she sits and listens to me when I get home. Some of those conversations aren't always very fun to her to listen to, but she sure helps me through it all. I married a girl that is super sweet. She's Italian, she can cook, and she loves to fish. And I couldn't ask for much more. So that's my wife, Renee. My daughter, Emily, is the one who wrote the nomination for me. I've been afraid to read it, but I've heard it was really good, and it must have been. You'll like this story. I had her as a student, and my younger daughter, Katie, as a student, and in drama club. Emily went on to get her teaching degree and come back to Worcester High School to teach vocal music. So she's a choir director. And as the choir director, the drama club guy got to work with his daughter. You saw her picture in a toga along with mine. That's what that's about. That's Emily. So a big thank you to her, and she wished that she could make it and could not. Told you about my dad. My mom was an incredible supporter growing up here and ever since. And she suffered her third heart attack back in June. Survived it. She's a tough old bird. And she's doing pretty well, but she wasn't up to making the trip. So, absolutely. I was going to thank Coach Parker if he could make it, and I see he couldn't. And I would love to share with you my impersonation of Coach Parker, which was a big hit in the locker room back in the day. Coach Lyle's over there laughing. But he's not here to defend himself, so I won't do that. But the man taught me how to lead a group of kids. He taught me leadership. And he was brand new. He came from Berlin, was it? His first year was my junior year. And so we were on the same page as far as that kind of stuff went. But just a great guy. And I was so thrilled to see him get inducted a couple of years ago. Coach Law, who taught me how to be a defensive football player by what he said and also what he did. And anybody that faced Coach Law in a drill, he kind of forgot he wasn't a player anymore. And we got slammed. But we learned. No, he was a great coach. Joe Brown is legendary. Some of you know him. Thanks to him for teaching me how to block. And he was always about 6 inches, see? Boom. That's all you need. 6 inches, right here. Boom. And he'd hit you, and his hat would go sideways. And this guy's 70-some years old, and he's wasted. So, right. Dick Johnson was a sophomore football coach. He taught me how loud a stick on a helmet could be when he's trying to get you to stay low going through the blocking chutes. Wow. And Jake Stays, who taught me that the word offense was really pronounced offense up here. Ron Kubiak is here. Coach Kubiak was our wrestling coach, and he taught me how to care about kids. He was a boxer. He never even wrestled, but he wanted to make the opportunity for kids to be on a great wrestling team. And I never wrestled before I came to Neenah. And wrestling's not a sport you can just kind of pick up. I got involved to become a better football player. But he gave me confidence when I didn't have any, and so did John Gilmore. They were my two coaches. And they were the kind of teachers, they were the kind of coaches that were teachers. And they saw the big picture. We were talking earlier that Tom Milliken was in the orchestra and I was in the choir and this and that. And he understood, and it wasn't a problem if we had to come late to a practice or leave early or whatever. He understood all of that because he's an educator. He wasn't just a coach. So great thanks to both of those guys. And I think Coach Gilmore's greatest asset was keeping Coach Kubiak's cool so he didn't get flagrant misconduct. Coombs was kind of fiery, but there was always Coach Gilmore. It's all right, Ron, it's all right, settle down, we're gonna be okay here. Glenn Severson's not here, but he taught me that if a kid breaks the school rules, you enforce them, even if it means that you run them down in Memorial Park. Glenn Severson was a great distance runner. And this kid was a Conant, and he was smoking. Bob Totten reminded me of this. He was smoking, and Stevie said, come with me. And the kid took off running. You didn't run away from Glenn Severson. And he tracked this kid down and dragged him back to school. Rules are important. He was also a great phys ed teacher. Jim Vine's here today. He taught me not only to appreciate music, but to love music. I think Jim Vine's probably passionate about brushing his teeth. He is. But also to have fun with music. We enjoyed the heck out of being in his music groups. And I'm also very pleased that he was inducted here a couple of years ago. I mentioned Jim Miller. Sorry, how is it? This was a heartbreaker for me. One of my biggest influences was Jim Van Zandt. And it was heartbreaking because living in Ohio, I didn't know he passed, and I sent an invitation, and it passed in 2018. Probably the reason I went into biology was Jim Van Zandt. He was so passionate about science. He had a certain way about him that you respected him. He was totally focused on the student. And maybe the biggest thing I got from him was a love of nature. And he took us on science club trips and did a lot of extra things in the outdoors that really rubbed off on me. I became a big proponent of outdoor education. I started a marine biology program that lasted 30 years. I taught the kids on Monday nights, and at the end of 10 weeks, we went down to Key Largo, Florida for a week of field study. Those kinds of things to get kids connected to the outdoors are very, very special. And those, believe me, are the things that they remember 10, 20, 30 years ago about one of the coolest things they did in school. But you gotta risk to do that stuff. It takes some courage. You know, Jim's talking about taking kids to Mexico on a bus. Well, it's crazy, but what an educational opportunity. It's easy to go home after school and do whatever you do and come back the next day and teach 5 days a week, and God bless those people. But the teachers that step up and say, my job is to make educational opportunities for kids, and I'm gonna do that any way I can. And these are the people that risked and took the extra step and were courageous enough to go through all that extra stuff so that students could grow. So. Anyway, I'm almost done. Harry Blowbaum taught me that math wasn't kill me. He was so easygoing, so understanding, and I was a math anxiety kid. For a guy that went on to get a degree in science, math was not my thing, and my brain's just not wired that way. And he was a very gentle teacher that helped me understand that I could do this. And relating to diversity, Ellen LaMarche from Seymour, Wisconsin, was my senior foods teacher. And I loved having her in class. I learned how to cook. The only problem with that class was, am I still here? Pushed the wrong button. Thanks for bailing me out. The only problem with that class was that it was during wrestling season and I made a strawberry pie and I couldn't eat it. So that was kind of torture. I guess that's it. One way or another, I covered everything.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much.